Okay, since we don't have very much time left in Illustrator towards the end of the semester, we're going to focus on value. I'm going to teach you how to shade some objects using some of the techniques in Illustrator. One of those techniques is using a gradient bar, which you can see here has been turned on. We're going to start with a new file. I'm going to go ahead and label it last name, first name, value practice. I'm going to do 11 by 8.5 inches and go ahead and hit create. Alright, first thing I want to do is grab my rectangle tool and I'm going to create a rectangle that's 1 inch by 2 inches. I'm going to turn my stroke off. My fill should be turned on white. I'm going to go ahead and hit Command C, Command F, which is going to put the copy on the front. Hold Shift and shift it over. This is going to stay black. And if I hold the Shift key down and I select both of these, I can go ahead and blend the two together. Alright, now we need a horizon line right here. So I'm going to turn on my ruler, Command R, and I'm going to grab my line tool and I'm going to find 5.5. As you can see, this is tailing where I'm putting it. So I'm going to go ahead with my Shift key and draw a nice straight clean line. I'm going to make sure that my stroke is on black, and just so it looks more natural, I'm going to decrease my stroke size to about 0.25. Alright, now I'm ready to draw my circle. The ellipse is going to be 5 inches by 5 inches. I'm not going to put a fill on it because the fill is not going to matter right now. I'm going to make sure that I'm set on my fill color. You can also turn your stroke off as well. And I'm going to go to my window panel and menu, and I'm going to open up my gradient panel. I'm going to choose from the types radial. I'm going to click on my circle, make sure that my gradient tool is on, so clicking on the gradient tool from the toolbar, and then I'm going to be able to pick this up and I'm going to move it off of the edge of the top left side of my ball. This is going to allow me to adjust the bar. So I'm going to take this bar and I'm going to pivot the bar and I'm going to stretch it across the artboard. Okay, so what we're trying to go for is highlight, shadow, core shadow, reflected light, and cast shadow. Now, the nice thing about this is that each of these buckets can be changed. I can also add a bucket. So I'm going to add 2 buckets to my bar. I'm going to keep these right here. I want this to stay on white, so I'm going to keep this at white. I'm going to do a very, very, very light shadow. So I'm going to go with a light shadow gray. This is my darkest section, so I'm going to go with a core shadow. And then my reflected light is actually going to be a little bit lighter because it's light that's bouncing off of the table that the ball is sitting on. And what I can do is I can come in here and gradually change the position of these buckets. I can spread them out a little bit farther so that they look a little more natural, because the last thing I want to do is make this look like it has stripes. Just like when you're drawing. We did this for our sketchbook prompt one day. So I can move my core shadow around, I can spread my core shadow out just a little bit if I want to. Okay, I want to move my reflected light up. Perfect. Okay, awesome. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a layer. So I have everything in one layer. I'm going to take a new layer, place it underneath the ball that I just created, start in the center, and drag out. Notice it's very narrow. and it's tucked behind this ball. I'm going to make it a little bit wider. There we go. We want it to look natural. Okay, so the core shadow is on this side, so that means my cast shadow has to fall on this side. So I'm going to go ahead and instead of using the gradient tool for this, I'm actually going to use a gray. I want it to be darker. It's supposed to be darker than your core shadow. You can move it up until it starts to look more natural. And now we have a cast shadow that's being casted onto the ball. Now, we're not going to spend time doing anything with the background, but you could add value to this background so that this ball looks like it's actually fitting into an environment. But right now we're just doing a real quick example to show you what each of these are. Alright, so what I'm doing right now is I'm creating lines that are going to serve as labels for each of the sections of my ball. And I'm going to come in here with my type tool and I'm going to start typing. I'm going to increase my type size. Highlight. And instead of having to redo this 4 more times, I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste it. And if it pastes it right there, try to find it. And we're going to name this shadow. And what I'm realizing is that I'm writing these in a layer that is below the ball. So what I need to do is actually start over. I'm going to make sure that my lines and my type are in layer 1 so that they go on top. There we go. Okay, now let's try it again. And it should be easier to find when I paste it. So Command C, Command V. And everything that you do in here is considered a design. Whether you're making a piece of artwork that could be used to hang up on a wall or you're just using some type of reference, you still need to have everything lined up, everything spelled correctly. So I need to move this over until it looks nice and neat and lined up. And then last but not least, cast shadow. And then you are done. So we're going to go ahead and file, save as. You're going to have it as last name, first name, value, practice, and then you're going to turn it in on Schooloop today.